Syria airstrikes, Trump hails perfect mission. U.S. President Donald Trump has hailed an overnight military strike on Syria as perfectly executed, adding, "Mission accomplished." The US, UK and France bombed 3 government sites, targeting what they said were chemical weapons facilities. The strikes were in response to a suspected deadly chemical attack on the town of Douma last week. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he condemned the Western strikes in the most serious way. Russia, Syria's main ally, had threatened military retaliation if any Russian forces had been hit. In early morning tweets from Washington, President Trump thanked France and the UK for their wisdom and the power of their fine military. He added, "So proud of our great military," saying that after extra funding it would be the finest our country has ever had. In a Friday evening address to the nation from the White House, he had said, "The nations of Britain, France, and the United States of America have marshaled their righteous power against barbarism and brutality. The purpose of our actions tonight is to establish a strong deterrent against the production, spread, and use of chemical weapons." The wave of strikes is the most significant attack against President Bashar al-Assad's government by Western powers in 7 years of Syria's civil war. Responding to the strikes, Mr. Assad said in comments published by his office, "This aggression will only make Syria and its people more determined to keep fighting and crushing terrorism in every inch of the country." Where was hit? At a Pentagon briefing shortly after Mr. Trump's TV address, General Joseph Dunford listed 3 targets that had been struck. A scientific research facility in Damascus, allegedly connected to the production of chemical and biological weapons. A chemical weapons storage facility west of Homs. A chemical weapons equipment storage site and an important command post, also near Homs. A Russian Defense Ministry briefing said Russian units had tracked the actions of the US and UK forces but not the French. It said a number of Syrian military airfields, industrial and research facilities were hit. It said that 103 cruise missiles were launched, including Tomahawk naval-based missiles as well as GBU-38 guided air bombs fired from B-1B. F-15 and F-16 aircraft launched air-to-surface missiles. Syrian defense systems intercepted 71 of the cruise missiles. Other targets were Damascus International Airport, the Al-Dumair Airdrome, the Bly Airdrome, the Shayrat Air Base, and the unmanned Mez Airdrome. Only the latter was hit, the ministry said. Alleged chemical weapons facilities near Barza and Jaramana were partially destroyed as 23 of 30 missiles hit the targets. Was anyone killed? According to a Russian Defense Ministry statement, preliminary information said there had been no casualties among the Syrian army or civilians. There were initial reports that 3 civilians had been injured in Homs. U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis told journalists there were no reports of U.S. losses in the operation. He also said the scale of the strikes was about double what was launched in April 2017 after a chemical attack on the town of Khan Sheikhoun that killed more than 80 people. Will the strikes continue? In his earlier address, President Trump had said, "We are prepared to sustain this response until the Syrian regime stops its use of prohibited chemical agents." But Secretary Mattis said that right now, this is a one-time shot. Jen Dunford said the U.S. had communicated with Russia ahead of the strikes through the normal procedures of their deconfliction hotline, which is used to prevent accidental clashes in a war zone with multiple international players. There had been concerns that if the U.S. strike had hit Russian military personnel on the ground, it would further escalate tension.